and this is the 10th episode of the 3rd season of Doctor Who. Enjoy watching. It's the year 2007. A young woman named Sally Sparrow sneaked into an abandoned mansion. As she wanders through its empty rooms, she is amazed to find a message hidden under the wallpaper, left especially for her by a certain doctor. On the wall was a warning to beware of the weeping angels and to duck immediately. As soon as Sally read it, someone threw a stone into the room. However, shining her flashlight around, the girl didn't see anyone except for a stone statue covering its face with its hands. Feeling unsettled, Sally hurries home to her best friend, Kathy Nightingale, and persuades her to go back to the mansion with her the next day. When they return there in the morning, Sally tries to figure out who could have made that mysterious inscription and is surprised to find that the statue of the weeping angel in the garden has moved slightly. Her friend thinks Sally is just trying to scare her and goes inside the house. Suddenly, someone rang the doorbell. The girls were quite frightened. After all, who could be ringing the bell in an abandoned house? Sally went to open the door, while Kathy decided to stay inside. Standing on the doorstep was a young man who was looking for Sally Sparrow. The thing is, 20 years ago he was given the task to come here on this day and at this time to deliver an envelope to the girl. Meanwhile, Kathy decided to eavesdrop on their conversation and didn't notice how the angel statue was creeping closer and closer to her. Hearing a noise behind her, Sally hurried to her friend, but Kathy was nowhere to be found in the room, and the angel was standing in its usual spot in the garden. The man followed Sally and insisted that she open the envelope since he had made a promise to his late grandmother, whose name was Catherine. As for Catherine herself, she somehow found herself in the middle of a field with cows, and nearby sat a young man who showed her a fresh newspaper dated 1920. Catherine was in shock. She had traveled to the past. Sally skeptically opened the envelope. Inside was a letter and several old photographs of Catherine. Her friend wrote that Sally was reading this letter just a couple of minutes after they last saw each other. But for Catherine herself, 60 years had already passed since then. Not believing her eyes, the girl throws the letter to the man and runs off to look for her friend, thinking this is all just a cruel joke. However, on the top floor she finds 3 more strange statues, covering their faces with their hands. One of them had a key, and Sally decided to take it for herself. Hearing that Kathy's grandson was leaving the house, the girl rushed after him and didn't notice how the statues had changed their positions, and then watched her from the windows of the old house. Stopping by a cafe, Sally forced herself to finish reading her friend's letter to the end. Kathy asked her not to feel sorry for her, because she had lived a happy life. However, she had one request. Someone needed to inform her brother Lawrence about her and tell him that Catherine loves him. Sally immediately went to the small shop where Lawrence sold DVDs and told him that Catherine had left for a while and that she loved her brother very much. The guy was a bit puzzled, since his sister had never told him that before. Sally notices a video recording of a man on the monitor. She had seen exactly the same thing earlier at Catherine's house. Then Lawrence explains to her that this recording is a kind of Easter egg. This guy appears on 17 different, completely unrelated DVDs, and even the manufacturer is baffled as to how he ended up there. The man, who calls himself a doctor, seems to be having a conversation with someone and says strange things. But only his lines are on the recording, and this is a huge mystery. Finally, Lawrence hands Sally a list of the titles of those 17 DVDs, just in case she's interested. That same day, Sally goes to the police station to report her friend's disappearance. And while the officer on duty goes to get the local inspector, the girl notices some familiar figures on the facade of the building across the street, which disappear the moment she blinks. She had no way of knowing that the Weeping Angels had already moved to the police station building. Soon, Detective Billy Shipton comes out to see her and tells her that lately, disappearances have become more frequent. To back up his words, the detective takes the girl to the garage, where he shows her a whole collection of cars. Their owners had parked near the ominous mansion and then vanished. The engines of some of the cars were still warm when they were found. And the pride of this collection is a police telephone box, which no one has been able to open so far, since no key fits the lock. Taking advantage of the moment, Billy asks the beautiful Sally out on a date and gets her number. The girl leaves, and the detective returns to the box and finds 4 angel statues next to it. After blinking, Billy finds himself in the year 1969, where he is found by the time traveler Doctor Who and his companion. He tells the detective about the Weeping Angels, the only psychopaths in the universe who kill mercifully. One touch from them simply throws their victim into the past, where they live out the rest of their life, while these predators feed on the energy of the years the victim would have had in the present. In other words, the Weeping Angels are abstract beings that feed on potential energy. Meanwhile, in the present, Sally remembers the key she found in the mansion and returns to the station to try to open the blue box. But Billy is nowhere to be found. Suddenly, the detective calls her and asks her to come to him immediately. When she comes to his hospital room, the girl finds an elderly man lying in the bed. Billy tells her how he ended up in 1969 and met the doctor there, and also that he became the founder of a recording company and, together with the doctor, left her Easter eggs hidden on 17 DVDs. After finishing his story, Billy dies. Realizing that she needs to put all the DVDs together, Sally asks Lawrence to bring a DVD player to the abandoned mansion. When they meet up, they play the recording and discover that their own lines are intertwined with the doctor's phrases, forming a conversation. It's as if he's responding to them. Sally is amazed by this, since the doctor couldn't have known in advance what she would say next. Inspired, Lawrence starts writing Sally's lines into the printout with the doctor's words. The doctor himself says that he's reading his lines from a printout and then explains that the Weeping Angels have taken over his phone booth, the TARDIS, which is both a time machine and a spaceship rolled into one. Without it, the doctor is stuck in the past, and the TARDIS has such a powerful energy source that if these monsters get to it, they could feed off its energy forever, but the sun would go out as a result. The girl is puzzled as to how ordinary statues could do that. The man then explains that these ancient beings came from another world and have survived so long thanks to their most perfect defense system. They turn to stone if a living being looks at them. And you can't kill stone. But the moment you look away, you're done for. These predators cover their faces not because they're crying, but so they don't look at each other. That's where the doctor's message ends, and the man warns Sally that the angels are coming for her and she must not blink. Her life depends on it. Suddenly, the group looks up and sees a frozen statue with a terrifying, predatory grin right next to them. Sally leaves the frightened Lawrence to keep an eye on it, while she runs for the exit, since there are still 3 more statues somewhere in the house. However, the Weeping Angels have locked all the doors. The moment Lawrence looked away, even for a second, he saw the terrifying sculpture reach out its hands toward him and bare its fangs. He can't stay here any longer. Backing away, the guy runs off and joins Sally in the basement, where she has found the TARDIS and the other monsters. Right after them, a 4th angel appears in the room, pointing toward the only source of light. Realizing that the creature is trying to turn off the lamp, the guys barely manage to jump into the blue box before the angels can touch them. As soon as they are inside, a hologram of the doctor appears, asking them to insert the DVD into the panel. It was pretty difficult to do this, since the monsters were shaking the TARDIS from the outside. As soon as Sally inserted the disc, the time machine began to disappear, heading back to its owner. Surrounded by the angels, the guys were really scared, but now there was no need to keep looking at them. The doctor outsmarted them, and now they will never be able to move again, because they're looking at each other. A year has passed since then. Sally and Lawrence now work together in their shared shop. However, Sally is still troubled by some questions. How did the doctor know exactly where to leave the message on the wall, and how did he have a recording of their conversation? Sally was so caught up in this that she put together an entire folder of materials about it, not noticing that Lawrence was much more interested in their own relationship. Upset, Lawrence left to get some milk, and Sally happened to spot the doctor and his companion on the street. It turned out the man was seeing her for the first time, and Sally suddenly realized that he learned everything from her. So she briefly tells him what will happen to him and hands over the folder with all the materials. Now she's completely ready for a relationship, and taking Lawrence by the hand, Sally heads back to the shop. And right here, even more stories are waiting for you. Subscribe.